What's up, guys? You are back. This is The Real Deal with Casey and Jason, where we talk real life, real experiences, and occasionally real estate. Welcome back. I don't know when you're going to hear this. I don't know. I guess this will probably air after or maybe the weekend of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right around there, for sure.
Yeah, so this is crazy. So the Eagles right now, just for everyone, this is January 27th that we're recording this. The Eagles are going into the NFC Championship game on Sunday.
Birds, yes. San Francisco 49ers.
And you'll be there.
I will be there. Yep, excited.
So that's awesome. And by the time this airs, we might have another championship in Philadelphia. We'll at least know what happened this weekend.
Yes.
By the time you hear this.
Hopefully, we're getting ready for another title. Yeah.
I would love that. Yeah, what an awesome couple months in Philadelphia. Had a World Series run. Best Eagles team in history to this point.
Yeah, 14-3, right.
Insane. 14 wins.
Yeah.
And two of the losses were without their quarterback.
Without Hurts, yep.
That's wild. So great year in Philadelphia for sports. Today, we're going to get a little bit into a topic that I think holds a lot of people back.
That's a great way to describe it.
And I think it's definitely held me back in a lot of things. It still does. I think if we want to, just be real about it, because that's what this show's all about, is being real.
Be real. The real deal.
It's literally called The Real Deal. So we're going to be real about it. It's something that, I think probably has held you back in different ways. So we'll discuss that a little bit. And why don't you go ahead and introduce the topic?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about fear today in general, and I think we'll probably get into it in a bunch of different ways. But I think the angle that, I don't want to say is most attractive to me, but most familiar to me was fear of judgment from other people. And also, I think self-judgment has a lot to do with the fear that I have felt in the past and still feel on a daily basis. But it's something that I work on every day, and I don't know if I'll ever conquer fear. I think it's always going to be present, but I think it's just how you handle it that really improves.
Yeah, and don't you think too that the more experience you have and the experiences you have, do you think that mitigates the fear that you feel?
Yeah, if you have more experiences of you facing that fear head on and learning what's on the other side of it, for sure. Because I think our minds want us to recall those positive experiences. But in the same token, if all you do is dwell on fear and those negative experiences that you've had, that's all that you're going to get back. Like, you're literally retrieving those memories and those feelings and putting them in the front of your mind. Then you'll get into a lot of what I have been facing most of my life, which is like fear paralysis.
Like, do you think, I guess, again, do you think you grow out of that, though? Do you think that we're learning along the way here. So do you think that you grow out of that over time? And it's like, I just think of older people in my life, and I'm like, they don't really seem scared of anything. They seem like they've been through enough that they're like, I got this. You know what I mean? I just think of like the old lady at the grocery store that she doesn't care, dude. She'll tell you what's on her mind, or just older people in general. I just think maybe they live with less fear. Or maybe, like you said, they have experienced it enough and made it to the other side of it that they don't let it hold them back.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I think it's always going to be there. At least for somebody like me, I'm pretty sure it's always going to be there. But the more experiences that I have doing the opposite of what the fear is telling me to do, the better off I will handle it over time. It's just like working out. It's just like cold plunging. I've said that many times. It's just like reading on a consistent basis. All of those things become easier the more and more you do them. So the more you face that fear, whatever it is, if it's, we've debated doing this podcast for months.
Talked about it for a long time before we actually took any action on it. Yeah.
Would you say that you feel better episode, whatever this is going to be, as opposed to the first one?
100%, absolutely.
Right, because you have experience doing it. You know it's out there now.
Yeah.
If people are judging you for it, you probably don't care so much. I mean, something that was holding me back for sure from doing this was the fear of what people were going to think. Do I have the expertise? Well, I'm here to tell you that answer is probably no, but I don't consider myself an expert in a whole lot, but I feel like sharing our experiences is helpful.
Yeah.
And so, but that fear definitely held me back for a long time. And
yep.
I don't know if I would have done this without you being there to be like, Jay, let's do this.
Yeah, let's lean into it.
Yeah.
So that's something else that we touched on before, but it is a trigger in your mind to lean into something that you are scared of. And if you have a deliberate movement towards something that you're scared of, it makes you much less averse to doing it. Like a habit we talked about in a prior episode. If the habit is too daunting, or when you feel like I don't want to do this, if you just do it. So like if it's working out, well, I know I got to go for a walk today, and I don't feel like doing it because I had a long day at work and whatever. But if that trigger in your mind is I don't feel like doing it, and you move your body, physically move your body and start doing it, it really helps with getting that getting over that fear or that non-movement of whatever it is.
Yeah, you're creating those experiences that say the opposite of what your fear is telling you, which is, you can't do that, you're not good enough, whatever the case may be. Well, you go and do that and it's not so bad, or you are pretty good at it. You're creating new, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to, I was going to say like neural pathways.
That's it.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah,
but
I've heard that before.
Yeah, but that sounds right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to go with.
It is. It's a success, right? It creates a little pathway of success.
Yeah, and you are able to recall that.
And you actually reprogram your mind to doing things that you don't want to necessarily do at the time, but it's going to move you forward.
Yeah, and I feel like we should have put this disclaimer out. There are probably some things that you should be afraid of and should not do. You know what I mean?
But right. We're talking about fear of things that would be helpful for you. Beneficial.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just let's get that out of the way.
Yeah. Not things that are going to put you at risk or in harm's way.
Right.
So I think what we do on the front side of fear a lot of times, what I found is that we create a story in our mind of what the worst case scenario could be. So whether it's a podcast and we're worried about judgment, whether it is going on social media and doing a live or taking a selfie, whatever it is, it could be anything. But I think we create a story in our mind of how bad it's going to be and what the worst case scenario is. And then when you start taking a little bit of action towards that, you realize, man, that was nothing like what I thought.
Yeah.
It was that experience was not what I thought it was going to be. And I think it's just important that we watch the stories that we tell ourselves, because it's not really what the experience of your life is not really the important thing. It's more the story that you tell yourself about that experience that's really going to define what it means.
Right.
What is reality? Reality is, to you, the story you tell yourself.
Completely different for everybody.
Yes. So we could have experienced the exact same thing, and one person tells themselves a story about how it ruined their life. The next person who experienced it tells themselves a story about what a blessing it was. And because of that story, they go in completely different paths throughout their life. So it's important to remember that it's all a story that we tell ourselves. It's all thoughts that we create and we tell ourselves through our mind that define that really define our experiences.
Yeah. And I think it's important to understand that it takes work. Like it's like, it's easy to say, oh, just think positive, or, oh, don't be afraid of that. But it legitimately requires the same amount of effort, energy, whatever you want to call it, or more than something that you would do to increase a habit that might be something physical. Work like building muscle.
Yep.
You got to think about it in the exact same way.
You have to keep it right at the front of your consciousness so that you can work towards it. And I think that all ties in with the personal development journey. I call it a journey because there's no end point here.
Right.
It's a journey because you start somewhere and then you gain a little bit of awareness around something, and then you experience it, and then you apply and relate it to your real life. And then you come across something else and you apply and relate that to your life. And then you kind of build on that to the point where you can actually, you start thinking different. But like you said, it's a conscious effort of, this isn't a light switch. Just like with physical activity and getting in shape, it's not a light switch that just goes off. It's a longer process of kind of building and building and building and building and becoming aware of different things so that you can think in different ways. Yeah,
and learning what those things are that work for you and implementing them consistently.
Yeah.
So that you can talk to yourself in a positive way that can help you get through that fear, whatever that fear is.
Yep. And we hear a lot that what you really want and desire is outside of your comfort zone, outside or just on the other side of that fear that you have. And I think it's really true. I think if you try to remain in a space where you're not fearful of anything, you almost have to just lean into it. Like if you're not fearful of anything, if you're so comfortable, nothing's gonna change. If you do the same exact thing today that you did yesterday and tomorrow and the next day, if you look around, your life is gonna stay really similar.
Yeah, my mom always used to say, and still does say it occasionally, what you resist persists.
Will persist.
I have a little bit of like a lisp, so it's hard for me to say that. But yeah, what you resist persists. Like I have to be like intentional with the way I say that.
Yeah.
And so if there's something that's on your mind that you fear, and let's pretend it's something that is, pretty common in your line of work or whatever you do, or somebody that you're going to see, and that fear is always there and you do nothing about it, well, then it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So you have to lean into, figuring out what it is that's going to help you overcome that, and then be consistent with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, something that we, again, going back to your experiences and how they kind of maybe mitigate your fear. And I don't know exactly how this ties in, but it's been on my mind lately, so I want to share it. We just got past the 4-year anniversary of when my dad passed away. So, and this was January 17th of 2019. But, and we talk about older people. He was somebody that I was like, that dude's not scared of anything.
Yeah.
He leans into things. He's not scared. He didn't live scared, but he had a lot of experiences. And he had a lot of, he was old, he was older. So he had a lot of things that he experienced in his life that kept him from being scared or having that fear or living in that fear. And just a huge lesson from that in the way he lived and the way, the way you look at something. So the biggest fear of my life was losing my dad. He was my best friend. It was the hardest thing I'd ever been through. But what I realized on the other side of that is that there were some lessons that he taught me so many things. There were some lessons that he taught me after he passed away that I couldn't learn when he was here.
Absolutely. I believe in that.
And the perspective that it gave me, going through something that I feared worse than anything has been something that I look at it like a gift. I really do. And it's hard to, you never want to lose anybody. Obviously it's close to you.
Yeah. It's probably hard to say that, right? That's not something that you ever thought you'd say.
No. And it's, of course I'd rather have him here.
Yeah, for sure.
But going through the thing that you fear the most, it kind of, it's weird. It frees you in some way, shape or form. After you go through an experience that you fear the most.
Yeah.
So I just think, you have to lean into the things that obviously it's completely different, but, just make sure that you're framing your mind around the things that you fear and looking at what the positive could come from it.
Yeah.
And if everybody does this as an exercise, make a list of things that you were scared of, that you went through, and what benefit came out of that.
Chances are there's something positive there.
You have to be able to find something positive, in every negative. So, just a way to kind of do that mind training that we talked about, and the way you talk to yourself, and the way you think about things. Remember, you're going to define the story based on the thoughts that you have. So if you define that story with the positive that came out of it versus the dwelling on it, the negative, the loss, the everything that comes along with it on the negative side. you're going to think about that experience in such a different way.
Yeah, and you talked about it before we started this, your subconscious mind, which I can't speak to in crazy amounts of detail, but I've read a fair amount about it, and I'm still reading about it.
Yeah.
I mean, literally what you put into your mind on a daily basis is what you'll attract. At least that's what I believe. And it's what you'll see. I mean, there are, like you said, two people can go through the exact same experience, but the person who has developed a way to talk to themselves in a positive manner and accept the fact that, that bad things are going to happen, things are going to scare you, but if you can find a way to find the silver lining, frame it in a positive way, that is what you will find, and that is what will come back to you. That's my belief.
Yeah, I think so. And the subconscious mind, like we've talked about and we've read in a book that we each read called Psycho-Cybernetics, awesome book about the subconscious mind and how it works. Your subconscious mind acts as a filter for what gets through to your conscious mind. And there's a lot of books out there that talk about this, but that book made it really easy for me to understand. So when you're always looking at something, going back to fear and then the positive, like we talked about, your subconscious mind will actually filter out things that come along that don't align with what you believe and the thoughts you put in your head.
Yep.
And it will let things through that you that do align with that. So that's where you're going to get, when you reframe everything and you start thinking about that, you're going to get all the positives. Your subconscious mind will let them through as you start to believe that there's a positive along with every setback, a positive along with every fear that you overcome. And your subconscious mind is just so powerful with that.
Yeah. And
it operates without our knowledge. It's so freaking cool.
Yeah, and fear itself, it's designed to keep us safe. Right? I mean, it's designed so that we don't get humiliated, so that we don't hurt ourselves. So whatever those things are, fear is designed to keep us safe. But there are some fears, a lot of fears will also keep us from growing. And so you kind of have to distinguish those fears that are almost perceived fears and not real fears, or not things that you can work to get through, to overcome, to be the best version of yourself that we talk about all the time.
I think most of the fears are not real. They are perceived. We completely make them up. And if you look at your list of goals or think about things you want to accomplish in your life, almost every one of them is going to have a fear in front of it. I bet you.
Some element of being like, I'm scared to do this.
Yeah. And it should. I think your goals, if they're big enough, they should scare you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just think every big milestone and everything I've ever wanted to accomplish, there's something in front of it that I'm like, man, I really want that, but I got to get through this first. I go to things like playing Division I baseball. There was a big fear there. I don't know if I'm good enough.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll get a scholarship. If I do, I don't know if I'll play. But I want that so bad, and I'm like, you have to work your way through that.
Yeah, and you kind of decide what's the worst that could happen. If I take this leap and I don't play, or I get cut, whatever.
Yeah.
The world's not going to end.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to make it through. It might suck for a while.
Yep.
But you find a way to push through those things, and you had a good experience.
Yeah. How about buying a house? So that's something obviously that we deal with all the time. First time home buyers, we work with a lot of them. Me on the mortgage side and you as a realtor for them. I mean, there is legitimate fear for a first time home buyer, and it is legitimate.
Yeah.
They experience it. I get it. I experienced it when I bought my first house. It was like, you mean I'm going to have to pay every month $1,200?
Right.
That was more money than I could ever fathom. I'd never paid rent before.
Yep.
So there's fear in that regard too, and it's like, how do you get? So I guess to the question, how do you get over that fear? How do you build the confidence enough to take on the fear?
So in a situation like that,
yeah, like you almost just have to dive into it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think so. That's I don't want to say it's not a unique situation, but as far as overcoming fear, that's an interesting one to think about. The way that I would think about that is, I would look around.
Yep, build some knowledge.
And I would say, well, I know this person, that all were first-time home buyers at one point.
Yep.
Right? That were first-time home buyers maybe within the last 6-8 months. I'm going to talk to that person.
What's their experience?
And find out their experience. And I'm also going to do my own research ahead of time and know that I'm probably going to have to change a lot of the ways that I live, right?
Yeah.
If money's going to be tight, then I'm not going to have to go out to eat as much or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not something that you're going to do enough to build the confidence as like going to the gym or any of those things. I mean, you're going to do that a handful of times in your life.
Yeah.
Right. Buying a house. So that's an interesting one to think about there.
I guess just thinking in general, whatever it is, one of the things that you can do to lean into that fear or get through that fear is you can build knowledge on it. Mm-hmm. And knowledge builds confidence. And then once you have the confidence, you're more likely to lean into and get through whatever the fear is that you're experiencing that's in front of what you really want.
Right.
Could probably go on for days about this. I think it does tie in so much to the whole personal development thing because, again, without getting uncomfortable going through these fears, you're not really going to ever move yourself too far forward. You're kind of going to be stuck where you are.
Yeah. So
what's something, let me think about this, what's something that I know I keep putting you on the spot.
It's okay, I'm here for it.
That you're fearful of that you can lean into. Really put you on the spot. What's the next thing for you?
Currently fearful of. Is that what you're asking?
Does anything come to mind? Just out of curiosity. Like the next thing you're going to tackle.
What about you?
I would say for me.
Give me, yeah.
Yeah, I want to.
Okay, yeah, I got one. Go ahead.
Okay, mine right now. So my brother and I we just started a business where we're going to be acquiring companies.
Yeah.
To me, huge fear.
Sure.
There's I feel like
unknowns.
A lot of unknowns. I don't want to, I was going to say right here, it shows you how powerful. I was going to say there's a lot of risks that come with it. Well, that's me telling myself there's risks. I don't really know. I've never done it. But acquiring companies and helping companies grow and scale. And really the whole idea behind it is that we want to, there's a lot of we call it Main Street companies. So you have your family owned, mainly home service companies, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. A lot of these companies are family owned by somebody who started the company 20, 30 years ago. And a lot of these companies are not big enough that they're going to be able to really be sold to and continued on with their legacy.
Yeah.
So we find in our grandfather, my brother and I's grandfather, he had a stucco business in northern Delaware for I think 40 years, close to 40 years that he had worked his whole life in that business. It wasn't ever big enough to where he could sell it and exit his business. So that's the whole idea behind this company that we started, is that we want to take these family businesses and give them a place to continue their legacy.
Right.
But to me, that's my big fear coming up, because I'm like, we're going to have to do some things, possibly, get some financing in an amount that I've never experienced. Do I know what I'm doing? Yeah.
That's what I would think.
Yeah. And so there's that I'm, looking forward to leaning into, because I know on the other side of it, we're going to be able to help so many people in such a good way that I just I need to lean into this. Yeah. I have no option. I need to lean into it.
And you are gonna develop knowledge. You are gonna do your research and talk to people who have done similar things, or you and your brother are gonna put your heads together and do all that research that you talked about.
Build knowledge, build confidence, and then take the leap and lean into it.
Yeah, mine would be I've always and I can talk to you about this, rental properties.
Yeah,
right. It's something I've always wanted to do. Something I have the ability to do right now, because my fiance and I have we own 2 houses, and you say the word and one of them could become a rental property, but that's scary. That's something that is scary, because you got somebody else living in one of your houses. You become a property manager at that point if you don't hire one yourself. It's another layer, something that I'm afraid of. That's one thing.
I like that.
But also it goes as simple as posting on social media. It scares me. And obviously I posted on social media, but I'd like to post more fitness content on social media. I did some the other day, but I want to that's something I love to do.
Yeah.
But I worry about the judgment from other people. I worry about, am I good enough to create these videos? Do I know enough about, what I'm really doing? Am I going to get ridiculed? Things like that. And I think some of those things are inevitable, right? Not everybody's always going to love what you do, right? There's always going to be somebody out there who is a dissenter for whatever reason. Maybe they just don't like me. Maybe they hate the way I sound or hate the way I look. Maybe they'll put some negative comments out there. I know I'll live through that. Yeah. But that's still holding me back.
I think what it is, when you have somebody that is negative because you're doing something you want to do, I think it's them reflecting on themselves that they have something out there that they are too scared to take a leap on.
Absolutely. Yeah, they feel bad about themselves, and that just gets projected onto other people.
Yep. So I would like to encourage everyone, if you have something that, like for you, the fitness journey and posting about that is something that calls to you. It's something that speaks to you, at a level that isn't in everybody. Yeah. I think it's important that we lean into things like that and our, whatever you want to call them, your passions, your interests. I feel the same way about hunting. I'm an avid hunter, fisherman, and I, like creating content on social media. I am way more apt. I like doing posts on social media, little reels, whatever, of me taking my kids hunting or me out hunting, because that's my passion. Yeah. I find it harder to do when it's, mortgage related or business related, because it's not not a hobby, not a passion. But I think it's important that we all lean into, if there's something that does fuel your fire, it's something that speaks to you. I think we all have to lean into it, because look, this life is short. Another lesson that I kind of learned from losing my dad. So life is short. Don't waste time not doing things you want to do. And you know what? With other people, you're probably going to get judged either way.
Regardless.
Whether you do it or you don't.
You'll get judged for not doing it. For the people who think you should be doing it are probably going to tell you, dude, why are you not doing this? Yeah. I mean, that's a judgment.
Right. So you're going to be judged either way. You might as well lean into it. You might as well live life the way you want and just free of like that fear of judgment of others. It's really, and not to say, to be an a-hole to anybody. I'm not saying that at all. And just I don't care about what other people think. I'm not saying that. Be very conscious of what other people think. Be empathetic, but just understand at the end of the day, it's your life.
It's your life.
Yep. And you get one chance at it, and it's short, and it's just lean into the things that you want to do. Lean into your hobbies. Because I think it creates an experience for you that you can't replace with other things.
Yeah, and practice and work at it, right? I think the way that we talked about it might make it seem easier than it is, and we both know that it's not. Yeah, it's not easy to overcome that fear, but try it, right? And find that one little thing that maybe you're afraid to lean into, and dip your foot in the water, lean in a little bit, and see how that feels, and develop those. Oh, it's not so bad pathways, those experiences to draw on. Yep. And you create some momentum, and then maybe that one fear goes away, and that just gives you, man, I use the word momentum a lot, but I believe in it. More momentum to eliminate maybe some other fears that are holding you back from doing things you actually want to do. Yeah. And I think that's how the older people that we were describing earlier get to the point where it seems like, man, they're just doing what they want out there. They don't care who's watching. Yeah. Because they've done this so many times. They've been through it. They've experienced it so many times that they can live like that. But we don't need to wait, and we shouldn't wait until we're older. And you hear so many people that at the end of their life they have regrets about things they didn't do, and it's never about money, or it's never about it's never about material things, for sure. Right. So just be careful that we don't, for everybody, place too much emphasis on things that, think about it. Does this really matter? At the end of my life, will I really care about a material thing or money or whatever else? But place the emphasis on things that are passions of yours, on people. And if you do that, I think you're going to live a lot better life, younger in life, before you get to be old and then have regrets. Agreed. Said.
Just my 2 cents there. So anything else on fear before we wrap it?
No, sir.
We'll circle back to it at some point.
Yeah, it'll come up for sure.
So let's keep an eye out for that for between us and then anyone else too. Hey, maybe share something you're fearful of.
See,
it's a tough word.
Not as easy as some people make it seem.
Yeah, because I would love to look. Maybe we can help out. Maybe we have knowledge in an area that we can share with you that helps build that confidence for you to help take that next step. So please share if you're willing. If you're not, maybe you're fearful of sharing.
Maybe you're fearful of sharing.
so maybe just that experience, like me talking about my dad, to me was something that I feared. So I'm glad I was able to talk and just share a little bit about that experience. But yeah, until next time, guys. This is The Real Deal. Again, please like, share, subscribe wherever you saw this. If you don't mind, just I don't know if there's a like button, a share button, a comment button.
Yeah.
But it just really helps us get the message out and reach more people. We do this to hopefully share something that relates, real experiences, real life. So until next time.
I mean, I hope they're not eliminated. We're gonna pretend they're still in the playoffs. Yes. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Let's go.